India is actually kind of a somewhat sad situation compared to the amount of educated people. I think India is fairly low on the list in just pure compared to what it could be.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that is. Culturally, it should be fairly easy because the language barrier is not there to the same degree. I mean, if you're educated in India, you know English even if it's not your first language. So India actually should have an easier time being involved in some of the discussions. And don't get me wrong, there are developers there. There are just not as many as I expect. And I don't know quite why. My gut feel is that there's a fair amount of really enthusiastic, like local lugs, and I get to hear about them. But at the same time, I think a lot of the actual professional developers in India see software development as a job, not as a hobby. That's kind of the picture I've gotten. I don't know if it's true. And if you see it as a job, not as a hobby, the whole open source thing is not as natural anymore. A lot of the open source developers really started out developing because it's fun, and then they got a job later. So to them, the hobby came first and the job came later. If you start off with thinking of programming as a job, and a well-paying one, right? Then open source is not as natural, and you're not as likely to get involved. That's my guess. Now, I literally think one of the reasons Linux came out of Finland is that Finland, I think, is very culturally open. Higher education is taken for granted, and having a social network, you don't have to worry about getting a job because there's so much social infrastructure. I spent 8 years at a university just having fun and doing Linux and not worrying about a job because I knew as a software engineer I could find a job that would pay well enough. And I think that's not necessarily true in India.